Hey guys, Steel Ovan here. Today I wanted to do a video request for heavy hate. The topic of today is single action versus double action. What do you think? What are your thoughts? So, I'm going to start with convenience. So the convenience factor, double action is super convenient. It's one-handed, it's super fidgety, it's super fun. This is a Microtech Ultratech, as are all of these guys. This is just one example of double action that I have on hand, but this is what we're going to work with today. Here is a single action, the only single action OTF that I have. This is a Heretic Knives Hydra. And from a convenience standpoint, every time you fire this thing, you have to push the button in, and then with your other hand, you have to pull back the charging handle to retract it. So it's less convenient. And when you're cutting something in general utility, you're going to be holding whatever you're cutting with your one hand or stabilizing it or whatever. And you're going to want to do your cutting, pop your zip tie, cut your tape, whatever. And then you're not going to want to have to let go of whatever you're holding with your left hand in order to retract your blade. It's just it's a little bit of an added inconvenience, and maybe one of the downsides of single action out the front knives. But another, that is a downside, but there's also a, positive to single action OTFs. So when it comes to single action OTFs, look at the deployment speed, and more importantly, listen to the sound that these make on deployment. So that's double action. This is single action. It's like a totally different sound. This sounds so much softer. It feels softer. It recoils less. This one is a very authoritative thwack when it comes out, and comes out super fast with lots of aggression. This one's just feels almost a little bit limp. Now that may not be true for all double action OTFs, but it is in this case. So the speed of deployment is much better on a single action OTF. Also, the reliability on a single action OTF is much higher. In here, there's a spring that's compressed. When you push the button, it releases the blade, and even if it hits something on its way out of the blade, it will follow through. The handle will just push off and it will continue to lock. So your reliability factor for a single action OTF, I think, is much higher than a double action, where I'll show you on deployment, if it manages to run into something halfway through the deployment, it will come off the track here, and it will, it's just loose in there. You have to pull it all the way out, lock it on again, and then you're back good to go. Camera's just having a little bit of trouble focusing. But anyway, so it has trouble, if it hits something, it's going to bump off the track much easier than a single action OTF. Also, if you get junk on the blade, so say like tape residue or buildup of junk on these double action OTFs, you're going to have reliability problems with a double action OTF long before you have trouble with a single action deploying. The single action is going to just be more reliable in the long run when it comes to getting junk on the blade. So another thing is safety. Pretty much when it comes to safety, double actions, they aren't that bad. If you, for whatever reason, had your skin in front of this and you hit it with the blade coming out, it would still hurt. It would still draw blood, but it would not be nearly as bad as a single action. As I just demonstrated, it doesn't stop, it doesn't slow down as much, and it comes out much, much harder. So I think from a safety standpoint, a single action is probably a little bit more dangerous. This one has a nice safety cover on the firing button, but some of the ones that do not have a safety cover on the firing button, I'd probably be hesitant to carry in the pocket without some sort of sheath. Another thing is storage. So for these guys, right now, the blade is at rest in the handles. The blade is caught and the springs are not under tension in here. So you can actually store this one closed like this. So for in like a Pelican case or something, it's just much more convenient. For this guy, you gotta store this guy open because right now, the springs are under tension, and they want to throw the blade out there. So if you just stored it like that, you'd be prematurely wearing your springs because they'd be under load for so long. So in this case, you have to store your single action OTF open like this. One more thing is the, well, there's actually a couple more things, but the blade play in a single action OTF, you'll notice it's, there's no blade play whatsoever. On a double action OTF, you'll probably hear, there's some movement in this blade once it's deployed. Now that is a necessary tolerance, at least for these guys, because otherwise the freaking, you'll have reliability problems if it's too tight. Now there is a company, such as the Hawks, G&G Hawk, those guys, they do a double action OTF that will lock out and be solid. There'll be no blade play, but that is the one exception to this rule. All other double action OTFs are going to have blade play when they're open, to varying degrees, but that is a factor. If you care about having a rock solid blade, a single action has the advantage there. As far as options go, the number of knives out there made by different manufacturers, different models, different options, is way higher in the double action department. Single actions, you only have a very few options. You have basically the Heretic Hydra, you have the Halo, Microtech Halo series, and there's a couple other brands, but those are the big two and the most reliable. But those are really your two models you have that are single action OTFs. There is tons and tons and tons of models that are double action OTFs out there. So if it comes down to having options to choose from, single actions are not your thing. So the last thing I wanted to go over is, which do I prefer personally, Steel Ovan? Do I prefer double action, single action? I go a little bit of both ways. I think double action is more fun. It's more not more reliable. It's more convenient for me because I can open and close it with one hand. So I really like that in a double action knife. So I'm going to say I give a little bit of the edge to double action. However, me being a knife collector, I really appreciate the neat mechanism in the single action knife, and I appreciate how different it is. And I just like that. I just find that cool. And I appreciate the reliability and the action on this guy. So I really like single action knives, but if I had to come down to either or, I would probably pick double action. And one more thing I wanted to address before we wrap up the video. I live in Pennsylvania, and technically it is illegal for me to carry automatic knives in this state. But right now, Knife Rights is working very hard to overthrow those silly laws, and they're trying to make automatic knives legal to carry in Pennsylvania. So if you live in Pennsylvania and would like to help out, please go join Knife Rights and keep your eyes and ears open and ready for when they are ready for people to call representatives, that sort of thing, and to be able to help out with however you can, because that would be really awesome to be able to legally carry these in my state. So I really appreciate all of your guys' help and support. Hope you guys liked this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.